Budam Saranam Gacchami.
Buddham Saranam Gacchami.
Dhammam Saranam Gacchami.
Dhammam Saranam Gacchami.
Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Namo Lots, Namo Lots, Namo Lots. Welcome, everyone. Such an exciting time for our temple, for everyone who wants to walk the path in the Dharma. And we welcome you all, including those of you tuning in. So, this is our Flower Festival service, which we did not get to have last year. So, we're doubly excited to have it this year. It's called Hanamatsuri. Hanamatsuri is held each year in the spring to celebrate the birth of Siddhartha Gautama, a Hindu prince born over 2,600 years ago in Nepal. We call him Shakyamuni, the sage of the Shakya people, the Buddha. Many flowers have been very generously donated by our Sangha members, by all those who came today. Thank you so much. And they are arranged here on the altar and elsewhere to reenact the prince's birthplace, the birthplace in Lumbini Garden, Nepal. The beautiful baby Buddha statue, right here where you're going to be offering sweet tea, is an exact replica of the one that, the very larger one, it's probably 3 or 4 meters tall in Lumbini. So it looks just like that. His right arm is extended, symbolizing the merits of the Buddha, reaching out to all sentient beings. We pour the sweet tea over the baby Buddha to represent gentle rain that fell in Lumbini that day. As we begin our chanting, you will all have the opportunity to bathe the baby Buddha by pouring 2 ladles of sweet tea over him. The act of bathing the body of the Buddha is also an act of symbolically cleansing ourselves. The joyous recreation of the Buddha's birth brings to life the wonder and hope that filled the world at this event. We will first chant the invocation, the Zen-sho kata. It's on page 47 in your Shoshinge books, which are located in front of you or just behind you in the chair. It invites all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions to be present as we celebrate the birth of Shakyamuni, Gautama Buddha. And then we will go right into our Shoshinge chant, our verses of true faith written by our founder, Shinran Shonin. This chant tells of the primordial Buddha Amida and how Gautama Buddha shared Amida's important insights with us. Thank you. We will now begin with the Zensho Kada. Zensho mi da ni udojo o fui igu ugan o uji Kanon Seishi Jinja Jubu jo uke ra aini iue. May the spiritual presence of Amida Buddha, Kannon and Seishi Bodhisattvas, and all enlightened ones, past, present, and future, permeate this hall to send forth wisdom like flower petals falling from the sky to awaken those of us gathered. You may collect those after the service if you'd like. Shoshinge Kimyo Muryo Junyo Rai Namu Fukashigi Ko Hozo Bosai Niji Zai Seiji Zai Obusho Token Shobu Jodoin Kokudo Ninden Shizen Maku Konryu Mujo Shushogan Choho Keiu Daiguze Koko Shiyui Shishoju Jusei Myosho Monji Po Fuho Muryo Muhenko Muge Mutai Koen no Shoujo Kangi Chieko Fudan Nanchi Mushoko Chonichi Gakko Shojin Sei Isai Gunjo Mukosho Hongam Yogo Shoujogo Shishin Shingyo Gannin Joto Gakusho Daine Han Hishi Metendo Ganjoju Nyorai Shoi Koshusei Yuisei Mida Hongon Kai Gojoku Wakuji Gunjo Kai Hoshin Yorai Ryojitengon Noho Ichinen Kiai Shin Fudan Bon no Tokune Han Bonsho Gyakuho Sai Eiryu Nyoshu Shinyu Kaichimi Seishu Shin Kojo Shogo Ino Suiha Mumyowan Tonnai Shinzo Shiunmu Jofu Shinji Shinjin Ten 非常に幸福運無しげ妙無腕百神謙虚大狂気即を超勢合悪種異彩全幕本部人門心如来偶勢願仏言広大小芸者税人名分大理家弥陀部本元年部邪謙虚満なく修上信行十字人に難中死難昔インド祭天子論芸中華自治期史こそ現代小公正小異妙如来本税大き釈迦如来両河線一種五妙南天軸龍樹大寺出頭世出の財派有無権先世大乗無情法召喚議事小安楽賢治難行六六信行異行指導楽億年弥陀部本願次年即時流筆上唯の上昇如来語王法大悲偶勢音天神菩薩増論世奇妙無下根如来永寿たら謙信寺高専王朝大聖願こういう本願力栄光移動群上小維新記入空読大崩壊筆脈入大永寿宗特使蓮華造世界即昇信用法昇進有本の人間人図入賞自音自王芸本自動乱両天使上皇乱消防사来三蔵ルシ十上教門書宣教気楽法天神菩薩論中芸報道因果見世願方言栄光ゆた力少女死因唯心人惑前本部新人法承知承知即涅槃非死無量光明道小宇宙上回復系同社継承道難所唯妙浄土活入万全自力変言宗円満特語感染症三風三神慶音言増魔法明道非因一生増惑地偶勢思安妖怪称名化全道独名部所意公愛上三余逆惑公明明語見因年介入本願大智慧行者小樹金剛心狂気一年総合用意大東逆三人即小法小四上楽原神公開一大教変気安養官二祭先祖終身反戦人法華二道小弁流国十悪人唯勝部火薬剤非正集中煩悩証言随不見大悲無見上昇が本次元空用仏教連民全幕本部人新宗教書後編集戦弱本願偶惑性 現来生じ臨伝下慶地義上位少子即入弱上無意楽非知信じにの入苦境大自主死と上際無変極辱枠同族自主愚道心唯過信しこそせナムアミダハブナムアミダハブナムアミダハブナムアアミダブナアムアミダアムナムミダジョブのこの方は今に自己をへたまえりほしのこうりやぬひわもなくせのもみょうを照らすなりナムアミダハムナムアミダハムナムアミダブナアミダブナムはアミダブナムはアミダブナムはアミダブナムはアミダブナムゲダの降臨気はもなし高速かむるものはみいなむを離ると述べたもおう平等かくに奇妙せよナムは阿弥陀仏ナ みだぶナムは阿弥陀ぶナム阿弥陀ぶナム阿弥陀ぶナム阿弥陀ぶナムは阿弥陀ぶナム阿弥陀ぶナム少女光明ならびなし武士幸のゆえなれば一切のご受けものぞこり流秘境へを奇妙せよ栄光願にしくどく平等聖祭ども大神お嬢は安らこ何万ダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナ Namandabu. 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 Wow, that was wonderful. Wow. I think we can just be done now. That was amazing. So beautiful to hear all of your voices chanting and watching you pour the sweet tea over the Buddha. It was just precious. It is with deep gratitude that we will now bring new members into our Sangha. New members and all members are the lifeblood of our community, and we cannot exist without you. So it's usually a semi-annual ceremony, but we haven't had a new member ceremony since this time in 2019, so long overdue. However, you can become a new member at any time. This is just a formal welcoming ceremony. So just make an appointment with Reverend Matthew or I to have tea and talk, and you can become a new member really at any time of the year. As I call your name, will you please walk up to the front of the Hondo right here to receive a beautiful Nenju made by one of our Sangha members. Just peruse them and choose one that speaks to you. They will. And then you'll take a name tag. Please take your name tag. And a slip of paper that has the 3 homages on that, because we will be chanting that again. And then bow to the altar and walk over to Reverend Matthew. Well, he'll be standing next to the kesa. You will receive your kesa. And then turn around and just stand to face the Sangha, and we'll do a short talk. Okay, you got all that? I know it's a lot. Okay, as I call your name, please come forward. Lisa D. Pick one, yes, whatever one speaks to you. Nazli Mohammed. Namondops, namondops. Pan, Pantoja, and Axiom, Pantoja. Mike Mesa and Rocco Mesa. Please come up, Rocco. Pick a Nenju that you like. All right. Matches your shoes. Cool. Welcome. James Ball and Alex Ball. Laura Lucier. Ed McCroson. Rocio Yahi. Vivian Olds. Karen Taylor. Wesley Pittman. And Michelle Green. It's okay, she didn't come. We would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of our new members standing here in front of to the side of our Sangha. Sorry, we don't have enough room in the front. Sangha is an ancient Sanskrit word. It means those who delight in virtue, a community that gathers with a shared enthusiasm to bring the Buddha's teachings to life. We are a Sangha. Sangha is the third jewel of the three jewels, along with Buddha and Dharma. It is the living embodiment of the teaching and the great intention of the Buddha and all of those who followed him. Becoming a Sangha member means that you want to take an active part in various activities offered at RBC, such as our Tuesday evening chanting sessions, our Wednesday evening book group, our Thursday evening Golden Light meditation, temple cleaning, caring for the temple, Sunday services, and any of our social gatherings, Dharma hikes, Moon Rabbit Cafe, which is coming up next Saturday. Please come. We have lots of things happening at the temple. Becoming a Sangha member is an opportunity to give. To give, another word is called dana. We practice dana, or generosity, by making monetary offerings to the temple, by making these beautiful nenju. Dana is not a payment in exchange for goods or services. It is freely given from the heart, without expectation for something in return. Your generosity is a gift that supports not just our daily operation of the temple, but also the Sangha, the larger Dharma community, and your own practice. Our new members and all of us will now chant the 3 homages together. Buddham Saranam Gacchami Dhammam Saranam Gacchami Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Namandams, namandams, namandams. Thank you so much and welcome to the Reno Buddhist Center Sangha. Yay! You may resume. If you can find your seat, you may take your seat.
I would like to invite the children to come up to the front for a special story. Come right over here on this rug with me. I'm going to sit right here. Good job, Axe. You can sit down. We're going to hear a story. Do we have everybody? So today's reading is a special story. It's the Buddha's birth story. Wow. Yeah, that's exciting, Axe. So this is the birth story of Shakyamuni Buddha. About 2,662 years ago. That's a long time. Mic closer. Can everybody hear me now? Ah. Is this better? Okay. So about About 2,662 years ago, King Suddhodana ruled the kingdom of Shakya near the Himalayan mountains in what is now Nepal. For the first 20 years of marriage, the king and Queen Maya had no children. They had wished for a child ever since they were first married. One day, during a midsummer festival, Queen Maya and the king retired to their rooms to rest. Maya fell asleep and had an amazing dream. She dreamt that 4 Devis carried her high into white mountain peaks and clothed her in flowers. A magnificent white elephant with 6 tusks and holding a white lotus flower in his trunk approached her. He asked Maya if she would give birth to the Buddha in the human world. The elephant walked around her 3 times. When he pressed the lovely lotus blossom to her side, she instantly had a child growing inside her. When Maya awoke, she told her husband, King Suddhodana, about the dream. That's the elephant. The king summoned wise seers to come and explain what the dream meant. They said that Queen Maya would give birth to a son, who would become a very important world leader. As was the custom of the day, when the time of the birth grew near, Queen Maya wanted to travel to her childhood home, Devadaha, to give birth. With the king's blessing, she left Kapilas Batu in a palanquin carried by 100 courtiers. On the way to Devadaha, the procession passed Lumbini Garden. It was full of springtime delights, blossoming trees and flowers, just like we have here, so many flowers. Feeling she could travel no further, the queen asked her courtiers to stop. She bathed in a pond, and her handmaidens assisted her to a nearby grove of trees for privacy. One large Ashoka tree lowered a flowering branch to support her for her delivery. As she reached up to touch the blossoms, her son was born. She experienced no pain at all. Then the queen and her son were showered with perfume blossoms, and streams of sweet rain poured from the sky to bathe them, just as we did today during the offering. It is said that the child was born fully awake, able to speak. He told his mother he had come to free all mankind from suffering. Able to stand, he walked a short distance in each of the 4 directions. Then, taking 7 bold steps, lotus blossoms rising in his footprints, he raised one hand and proclaimed, "I have come to bring peace and joy to all." They named him Siddhartha, which means he who has attained his goal. Then Queen Maya and her son returned to Kapilasvatu. Sadly, the queen died 7 days later, and the infant prince was lovingly nursed and raised by her sister, Mahapajpati, as if he were her own son. Pajpati would later be ordained as Shakyamuni's first female bhikkhuni and one of his most devoted followers. That is the story of Buddha's birthday. We are now going to do a walking meditation.
Ooh, I love that.
You love that? That's exciting. I'm so glad you love that. All right, follow behind me. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamunaya Soha.
You can now return to your seats.
That is such a wonderful story. It's a little bit of a traditional story. If you notice, some of the details seem a little traditional and mythic. But there are elements there that speak to the sacred nature of Shakyamuni's birth. I will say good welcome from myself, though you've been welcomed many times, and our celebration of Shakyamuni's birthday continues. We talked about the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. New members is a wonderful, vibrant example of that jewel. And the Buddha's birthday, if there's anything that's more about the Buddha than his birthday, I don't know what is more about Shakyamuni Buddha than his birthday. But then there's the Dharma part. So I guess we've saved the best for last, but I want to share the talking part, what I usually refer to as the boring talking part of the service. So, in 2019, many of you know that a group of pilgrims, or pilgrims, as we often say, in Nepal, from RBC went to India and went to the 4 sacred sites of the Buddha's life. And it was really a trip of a lifetime, as recommended by the Buddha. Each day, I still kind of hearken back to it. And usually at lunchtime, when I say itadakimasu in gratitude for my midday meal, somehow I feel transported to India, and I think of my friends there and how they're doing, and they may be having a difficult time or enjoying an important holiday. But that connection has sustained. Every day I feel that. It's very vibrant. Through the pandemic year, we have stayed in touch with Venerable Rajesh, who was kind enough to guide us around the Mahabodhi temple, the temple where the Buddha was in the location of Buddha's enlightenment. And he's, to a degree, we were able to support him with some donations as well as messages back and forth of some of them were very joyful messages, but some of them were very painful messages. So we stayed connected through dark days and bright ones. But last month, they were able to celebrate the Buddha's birthday in Buddha Gaya, so the Buddha Jayanti, I think they say, and things, he said, were returning to normal. So that connection to our pilgrimage trip to India is still alive and well. There's so many experiences from that trip that I will share at different times. This is a good time to think about Lumbini in Nepal. Our wonderful dear friend, Dr. Basanta Bidari, is a Nepali archaeologist and Buddhist priest and fantastic tour guide and general all-around fun guy to be with. He guided us through Lumbini. Dr. Bidari points out that of all the world's religions, in Buddhism, the founder specifically said, please go to the place of my birth, the place of my enlightenment, the place I first taught, and the place where I died. He did it actually when he was dying, so this place. And Dr. Bidari is intrigued and interested by this, because in most religious traditions, the sacred places kind of come up after the person is gone, just sort of naturally to help us remember. But in the case of Buddhism, he recommended beforehand. Even if you think of the fantastic, big pilgrimages in the world, the Hajj in Mecca, there was no, Muhammad didn't say you should do this. It bubbled up out of that celebration. But in the Buddha's case, there's some reason he wanted us to visit those places. And today, by celebrating this birthday service, we're visiting the place, Lumbini. We've recreated Lumbini here together, and so we do that. But we should ask the question of ourselves, I wonder why he thought we should do that. When we went to Lumbini, it was not easy. Most of the time on our trip, we were on a train, which was quite pleasant, almost like a ship. the ship of the vow. No, the train dropped us off in the nearest Indian town to the Nepali border, and then it was sort of a 3 hours of bus ride, and get off the bus and get on the bus and give them your passport and get your passport back, and do you have the $20 and do you have, kind of things. Filling out the forms. Reverend Shelley couldn't find a place to fill out the form, so Dr. Bidari, who's probably like a super famous, academic in Nepal, offered that she could fill out her form on his back. He said, please don't take any pictures because it would come back to haunt him. So we made it across the border, and that's the ninju blessing. If your ninju explodes in the temple, it's supposed to be a wonderful boon. Dr. Bidari, other than supporting Reverend Shelley in filling out her entry form into Nepal, was also responsible to lead the entire archaeological dig at the site of the Buddha's birth. And he worked with the United Nations architect, the master planner of the pilgrimage site that has been redeveloped. So he was like a really important person. But his greatest achievement, and he says this himself, is that he discovered the birth marker stone for the Buddha. They turned that up, they unearthed it under, I don't know how many feet of dirt that was under, probably 10 or 15 feet of dirt, but in the archaeological dig, they very carefully dig their way down, In 1996, they found the birthstone. So that was really the most important discovery in Nepal in the 20th century, was in that place. So he explained that this birthstone was placed by the villagers at the time of the Buddha's birth so that King Suddhodana could come back and do purification rituals. In those days, they thought that the birth process was, this is a Hindu thing, was unclean, and so you needed to do purification rites there to protect the child and the mother. Unfortunately, Queen Maya died 7 days later. So, they marked it with a stone that was unlike the other stones. That's basically, in the legend, that's the only description we have. So Professor Bidari kept working on this archaeological dig till they wasn't really looking for it, but they found it in that place. So hundreds of thousands of pilgrims have made the long journey, most of them on foot, to visit and pray and be at the site of the Buddha's birth. Kind of this place that we've created in this moment is transported. Visiting this special place, it cements our understanding of the Buddha as a regular person who started out just like all of us. The meek and the mighty have visited that place. The Mauryan Emperor Ashoka, super famous, made an imperial visit to Lumbini in 249 BC. BCE, I should say. He marked the birthplace by erecting one of his famous polished sandstone pillars at the place. And there's an inscription that they put on the pillar. And Dr. Bidari wants us to know that the inscription is very important. It's slightly different than most of the inscriptions on Ashoka's 42 pillars, because, and they're all over India, because it's in the first person. That's interesting. He translates it like this. The inscription says, I, the beloved of the gods, in the 20th year after my coronation, I myself came to this place. Here, Shakyamuni Buddha was born. Here I worshipped the birthplace marker stone and erected this stone pillar. An angel got its wings. I'm thinking perhaps we should use stronger chord in the ninjus next time, but I digress. Okay, I just interrupted Ashoka. That's probably not good. So it's in the first person, which is a big deal, because emperors generally, speak in the third person, or someone else speaks for them. The last piece of the inscription is interesting. he says that Lord Buddha, having been born here, I reduced the tax of Lumbini village to 1/8 portion. So they basically got a tax deduction because the Buddha was born in their town. So later, a Malla king from the Nepali Empire kingdom wrote Om Mani Padme Hum on the pillar, which kind of constitutes graffiti, but he carved it nicely in the stone. So Om Mani Padme Hum, commemorating the deep compassion that he felt visiting this place, that the Buddha's birth. We mostly know, I mean, even finding the location was only possible for all of us because Chinese pilgrims, Fa-Zhen, Xunzhuang, and several others, wrote about their visits. Fa-Zhen in 400 of the Common Era, Xunzhuang in 645 of the Common Era. But it wasn't really until the British treasure hunters, they called themselves archaeologists, but they were really just digging in everything looking for gold, in 1896 that determined our modern understanding of the place. In the meantime, it had kind of fallen into disrepair. Our Hindu friends kind of adopted it and started making offerings to the forest gods and to fertility gods and things there, though many Buddhists found it disturbing that they were sacrificing goats at the place of the Buddha's birth. So it wasn't until 1920-something that a Japanese gentleman beseeched the king of Nepal to have them stop doing that, please. So they did stop doing that. And then in 1967, the UN Secretary General U Thant, a Burmese gentleman, visited Lumbini, saw the place was just a complete wreck and kind of overrun with, people just took over all the land as farming fields, because, I mean, eventually, after 2,600 years, somebody else owns that land, right? The UN made it a big project to recreate a proper pilgrimage site, and since 1973, when the architect Tange Kenzo, famous Japanese architect, made a plan, they've been working on it. The plan is 80% done now, so it's very close. When we visited, you could really, it's all coming together. But there were pieces that weren't quite done yet, so it's South Asia. That's kind of how things roll. I feel like you've all been sitting for a long time, and I wanted to tell you about the birthplace and everything, but I'm starting to feel that tension of perhaps moving onward to the luncheon would be the smart thing to do. I'll just shorten things down a little bit. How about that? We can compromise. As we heard in the birth story, Queen Maya stopped at Lumbini on her journey back to her parents' home in Devadaha, where she had planned to give birth. She bathed in a pond in the stream there, and she took 25 steps to the north, it said, and found the support of the Ashoka tree. In some of the descriptions, the tree lowers its branch so that she can hold onto it during the birth. And it sounded like a very easy birth, which is wonderful. Yeah. When we were there were many Ashoka trees, and they bloom in the spring. So that's why we know the Buddha was born in the spring. All the calendars are all messed up in the meantime, so we have dates are a little foggy. But and there, where Professor Bidari found the marker stone, it's about 25 meters north of the pond. So those things, even over 2,600 years, which archaeologically is like a long time to keep those ideas connected, it still holds. So that seemed good. Our group of RBC pilgrims sat next to the brick remnants of, there were monasteries, meditation halls, all kinds of things had been built there over the years, and now archaeologically they're unearthed and preserved. There are Bodhi trees. We have our Bodhi tree resplendent today. I am amazed at its foliage. It is so happy in that place, and I'm very grateful. That was a birthday gift from my dear mother, who's sitting here, and she got it for me, I want to say 30 years ago, but give or take a few years. It was certainly not this century that we received that wonderful gift, so thank you. So Bodhi trees, bigger than that, festooned with prayer flags. We sat there, we chanted the Zen Shokata like we did today, and just to bring all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas together with us and appreciate that moment in that place together. The Buddha is our teacher and our dear friend. And for fun, we sang happy birthday. I'm sure the other pilgrims were a little confused at what on earth those Americans were doing, but that's just our way. In our Shin Buddhist tradition, we chanted the Eiko, trying to give away all that merit or that energy just to all beings that they can see through to clarity of the Buddha. This idea of going to the important sacred sites of Shakyamuni Buddha's life, especially celebrating his birth. Through it, we realize maybe why he recommended the pilgrimage. His life work was to show us how we can live a joy-filled life. He called it enlightenment, rather than feeling defeated by troubling experiences. He was a regular person like us. His life had beginning, middle, and end, so we recognize that with the pilgrimage. The Buddha taught joyful enlightenment. He taught us to persevere through difficult times. He taught us to meet challenges and live life nobly, so that suffering is not unnecessarily amplified. This is our path, in the footsteps of the Buddha. The Buddha hoped to inspire in us the spirit to tackle what needs to be done in our lives, to recognize when suffering exists, to look deeply at its causes, and just let them go. When we have this spirit, we can move forward with compassion, balance, and peace. Looking at this fleeting lifetime of the Buddha, like the delicate cherry blossom in a way, we are part of that infinite unbroken thread of life from past to future. Shakyamuni Buddha was an instrument of that life, that infinite life too. We are connected to him, and out of great compassion, he wanted this for all sentient beings. So let's share a wonderful wish of Shakyamuni Buddha for all sentient beings. May you be happy. May you receive boundless compassion. May peace and harmony fill your heart. Namandam, namandam, namandam. So thank you so much. Since we are going to sing the happy birthday song at our luncheon in the Haroma Hall downstairs, I think we will forego singing our Reno Buddhist Center theme song today. So in the interest of brevity, we have not all gone downstairs together in a long time, over a year. So the trick is, if you're comfortable, just go out the main doors and loop all the way around, and then you can come back in the doors into Haroma Hall on the first floor. Or, if you enjoy steep stairways, you can go through this door, arcing around to the right, and down those stairs. So, we will meet you all in Haroma Hall, and we'll have a wonderful luncheon together. If you came not expecting a luncheon, or if you're concerned that you have not brought something for it, please come to lunch. We have lots and lots of food. And that food, one big offering, is what we're going to have for Moon Rabbit Cafe next weekend. So if you don't come and have lunch with us right now, then you must come next Saturday, the 13th of the 19th of June, and bring friends or sign up on GoFundMe to come to that. So, but please, let's go down. There's a beautiful cake that has arrived and been created here for Shakyamuni's birthday. And so either the long way, which is the easy way, or the quick way, which is substantially more difficult. So thank you so much. Namanda.